Welcome to the recording for the Copyright Law unit. And you can see that this is week 6, and I'll go look at the week's assignment just to go over what you need to do there. So here I am in the week's assignment. And you can see that in this unit you're going to do what's called a citations assignment, and I have a recording showing how to do that. A permissions letter assignment, I have a recording for that. And then the copyright website assignment, I'll do a recording for that. And then you're going to skip the discussion and you have the quiz in here. So pretty straightforward, pretty basic this week, and the work goes really fast. The citations assignment probably take about a half an hour after you find the 4 pictures you're going to use. Permissions letter assignment, this might take about 15 minutes. Copyright website assignment, that's going to take a little bit longer, maybe an hour or so. Okay, so I moved down. Let me get my screen over a little bit. So as we go down to the copyright unit, so here we are. And copyright, of course, is very important because people, when they create something of their own mind, then they need to copyright it because it has value. And this goes for books, music, ideas, all kinds of things. So we're going to look at copyright law. That's really important in web design. Now, the one thing about when you go to any web page, if you hit view source, you can see everything that's done in that. You can see exactly how that page is done, all the inner workings of the page and things like that. But is it legal to copy from the internet and other sources? Well, you're going to learn about that in this unit. So as we start thinking about this, we're going to research copyright law, look at fair use, look at a search engine to get some graphics, properly cite graphics, and a letter of permission to borrow somebody else's materials. Here's a lot of the work that you're going to be doing, but of course this stuff has been changed a little bit, so it's better to go to the gradebook to see what you need to do. Let's go to the Class Connect write-up. The first one, Section 1, Part A. What is copyright? How is copyright related to internet publishing? So we'll go on to Section 1. And if you look at this, copyright is the term that describes the rights given to creators for their literary and artistic works which are products of the mind. So that's the definition of copyright. Now the thing about copyright, when you put something online, when a person uploads to the internet, you automatically have copyright for the work. Then you choose on whether you want to allow others to use it or not. Some people put in copyright notice on a page saying nobody can use this. Some people say, please send me a letter if you want to use it or whatever. But you can see that once something goes on the internet, then it is copyrighted automatically. So that's pretty nice, isn't it? Here's a copyright website. You can go learn a little bit more about copywriting. Now, the one thing about copyright law, there's something called fair use. In fair use, an example would be a student could use a little bit of a copyrighted work for an assignment if you cite the source. You can also use something if you're making a parody. So if you're taking a movie and you're making something silly about it, you're using the ideas of that movie as a parody, and you can do that. Let's go back to the write-up. So we answered those 2 questions. What are the 5 questions to ask yourself to determine if something falls under fair use? So now we're going to talk about fair use. And what is fair use? Well, the fair use, the law about fair use, it's vague and kind of shadowy, meaning that there are many interpretations of what fair use is. But there are different components of it that you can think about to determine whether you're using something is appropriate. It does fall under fair use. Example, does the source say you can use the information? If so, then that's fair use. Is it an original work? Well, if something is original, then generally it would be okay for Let's see. Okay, is it an original work? This can be tricky. For example, list of movies currently showing on movie theater not be considered original, but someone's rating and commentary on a movie would be copyrighted. Now that is kind of tricky, isn't it? So is it original work? That's the question. Is it very old? So things created before 1923 are what's called public domain, and anybody can use it. In fact, some people, they take books written before 1923, and you can practically publish them under your own name if you want to. Was it published by the government? Anything by the government is public domain, meaning that it's fair for your use. And finally, will you be using it for educational purposes? And if for educational purposes, then yes, it's fair use, but there's limits to the amount of the material that you can use. So there's a little practice quiz. Go through that to see what you know about copyright. And next on this part, let's go to the Class Connect Write Up. Explain the process to save an image and a URL so you can cite the image properly. That's 2 questions. So on finding an image, the first thing, of course, is you go to a web page. So I'm talking about the steps to do it. So you usually want to use a website like Google Search, Google Image Search. And once you go into it, and I'll just go ahead and show you the steps to do this. So I'll go ahead and open up. Let's go to Google, and I'm going to click right here at the top, Images, and I'll type the word cat. So the first thing is find the image in Google. Then the second step, you double click on the image and then choose website for this image. So now you're on the exact web page where the image was found. So there's the picture of the cat right here, isn't it? So now I found the exact page. Then I right click. I don't want to do that. Then I can right click, save picture as, so I save the picture somewhere. Then once I save that picture, I also go up to the top, and you can probably barely see at the top up here, but I go up to the top and I click the URL, right click copy, and then I paste the URL somewhere where I'll be able to use it again. So those are the steps. If we go back to the that question, let's see what it said. Explain the process to save an image and a URL. So that's the way to do that, and then you take that URL and you paste it into the web page or the report or whatever you're doing. So those are the steps to save an image. But the biggest thing I want you to realize, and I'll demonstrate this again. I'm going to do that Google search. I'm going to do it on the word cat again. Images. So on cat again. Now if you look at this, and there's that mean cat. So if I click on that, if you look at the top, so that gives me the Google search. That is not the URL we want to use. That's why we have to go into the actual website, then we get the actual URL. A lot of people make that mistake, but that's what you need to do. Okay, so we answered that question, and this is just a practice assignment that helps you with citation, but you can see that it kind of steps you through saving your images. Now this is actually Unit 3 work, and you'll see in a minute, and I have a recording for this, you'll save your pictures for the work you'll do in an images folder in your Unit 3 folder. And moving along, so finding, saving, and citing, of course that's what we're talking about here. As far as citing, I mean, this is the way that you cite something that you look at, you know, from a magazine or a book or something like that. And many of you have probably done this. But it's an alteration of how you would save regular print materials. You can see that this would actually be to save a website. So this has the title of the page of the website, the web address, the date it was retrieved. So you can see that type of information would be for something from the web. So you can see the examples down below. So this picture right here was borrowed from, it was called a color job. Colorful Job was the name of the picture. It was taken off online on this day, and it was at this website, CayenneKevin.com. So that's one way you can do it. then you see down here a little bit different way. So actually it's the same. Oh, I see what they're doing here. They're showing you the picture and then the way that the citing would be underneath the picture. That's how they're doing that. And if you do the image used with somebody's permission, then you would put that note in there. Okay, next. Now here's the assignment that you'll do, citations assignment. And I have a recording for this that shows you exactly how to do it. But on this, you're going to find a topic that interests you. So it could be sports or 1968 Ford Mustangs, or it could be pets or horses, whatever it happens to be. And you're going to find some pictures. You're going to find 4 pictures. You're going to make a table to put those 4 pictures in it. You're going to adjust the table and such. Now this says use CSS for the title. Don't worry about the CSS because this is just a one page. On one page you usually don't put the CSS because CSS is used to do multiple pages. But again, the recording that I created for this tells you exactly how to do it. So if I go right up here, I'll go into the course and I go right here, assignment recordings. Look at all these assignment recordings. And there's the citations assignment recording. That'll show you exactly how to do that as citations work. And there's a permission letter recording too. That'll show you how to do that. And for those that haven't done it yet, this is all the recordings from the WYSIWYG unit. Okay, let's get back into our lesson. So we looked at that. We looked at citing. And we looked at this assignment. So this assignment is going to be called citations.html when you do it. And of course you have to make sure you send in your Unit 3 folder. You submit that as a zip file. And this is Unit 3, even though it's out of the way a little bit. All this work is Unit 3. Let's go back to the Class Connect write-up. See if we had any questions there. Okay, we did the process. What is the basic format of APA style citation? Well, I just showed you that on that page, so you should be able to just put that in for that answer. Then Section 3, Part A. What is the mistake most people make? So Section 3, Part A. Okay, moving along, we're just about finished with this, aren't we? Okay, here we go. So the mistake that most people make when citing sources for images found using a search engine is that they cite the search engine as the source of the image rather than the page where the image lives. That's what I kind of like to tell people. Find the page where the image actually sits, where it lives. And I explained that to you already. So this just tells about doing a practice Google search. But that's the mistake most people make, is they cite the search engine rather than the actual page where the image is. Okay, moving along, permissions. This talks about getting someone's permission for a copyrighted material. Let's go to the Class Connect write-up, see if we have anything here. What is a process you might have to go through to use resources that are outside of fair use? So that means the resources to use somebody else's materials. And really this is the process. It's the process of writing a permissions letter. So you can see this talks about writing the permissions letter. There's lots of information here. And then down here is the sample of a permissions letter. You're asking to borrow the image or use some materials from a person. So that's an example of a letter. And the reason that's important is because you use it for this permissions letter assignment coming up. So the process for doing this would be to find all the information about the materials you want to borrow, and then sending a letter to the person or emailing the person, or even a phone call. But writing is the best way to do it. Now the permissions letter assignment, this is the assignment. This is a real easy assignment. All you do is you go and you do a Google search on the word graphs. Find a graph that is interesting to you that someone else has posted on the internet. Then you're going to use that graph and the website where it's posted as the basis for writing up a fake permissions letter. You're not going to actually mail the letter, but you're writing up a fake permissions letter to whoever operates that website to ask if you can borrow that picture of the graph. And when you do the permissions letter, of course, the page before this showed how to do the permissions letter. And I have a recording on how to do that. So that's the permissions letter. Let's go back to the Class Connect write-up. Okay, so what process for the permissions letter? And then Section 3, Part E, explain why copyright law exists and give 2 reasons we should respect copyright law. So that's Section 3, Part E. So, okay, Part E. And actually, this is related to this assignment. So on this assignment, you're going to make a 2-page website. Of course, it's done in your Unit 3 folder. And what you're going to do on this 2-page website is you're going to, on the first page, you're going to present a situation where a person must decide if the use of an image would be copyright infringement. So you're going to create a scenario. So the scenario might be a student wants to do a report on Christopher Columbus and they found these websites. So that might be the scenario. And you write a little bit more about that. Then the second page of the scenario is you will answer the question and give links to 2 sources that back up the answer. So this will be a 2 pages here. And the pages would be, you could call one index and the other one you could call page 2. So again, on the index page, you're going to create a scenario of where a person needs to decide about using somebody else's material. And then the second page, the page 2, is going to be your answers to that question and research from 2 places where you found information supporting supporting what is right about the web page. So you're going to make a folder called Copyright inside your Unit 3 folder. You're going to put an Images folder inside the Copyright folder. Now this says use external CSS. Don't worry about that. You're welcome to try it. Some of you aren't getting a really good handle on it. You don't need to do that, but you do want to make your 2 pages look very similar with the same colors, font styles, font sizes, etc. Make them look similar. So you don't have to worry about the CSS. And again, first page is going to be a narrative where you set up the scenario and present the situation. Second page is where you give the person what the correct answer would be and 2 relevant sources. So you cite your sources. Then you have to link the 2 pages. So you create a link, and I've showed you before, and I'll create the demonstration of this, but you need to create the link so the 2 pages can link back and forth to one another. Each image must have an appropriate, or each page must have an appropriate image with citations and all of that. Do not worry about linking from your portfolio or any of that stuff. It's all you're going to do, and you're not going to zip the portfolio. All you're going to send in to me is the Unit 3 folder zipped. So that's the work for this, and that's all of this assignment. Okay, I look forward to your work coming in, and you're getting down towards the end. So as soon as you get this work finished, then you need to move on and look at the final project, and I'll do a recording talking about the final project. Okay, thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.